Too late.
This regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen will come to order. First item on our agenda will be to stand and have the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have two public hearings that are on the agenda tonight. The first one is in regard to Ordinance 12-13. This ordinance amends our municipal code, the section entitled Business, Peddlers, Solicitors, etc., by amending Chapter 2. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a statement with regard to the changes in that ordinance? Any comment? All right, we'll move to the second public hearing. No, that's it, excuse me. We've got approval of minutes next. Okay. Is there a motion that our minutes be approved?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Got a motion on the second.
Yes.
If you favor the approval of the minutes, will you please say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. And now we move to the legislative portion of the agenda. First item, 2.1 covers Ordinance 12-12. This is a third and final reading involving the schedule of fees, etc., for play at the Legacy Golf Course. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion on the fees? Hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Watson to call the roll.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
He is absent.
Okay. Pass 5-0.
All right. Now, 2.2 is a second reading on Ordinance 12-13, for which we had the public hearing a few moments ago. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds.
Which one?
Any discussion now? Hearing none, Ms. Watson, will you call the roll?
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Pass 5-0.
Okay, 2.3 is to discuss and possibly take action on 12-14. This is a first reading, and our rules require that any reading on it, first reading of an ordinance, is to be read in its entirety. Ms. Watson will do that at this time.
Ordinance 12-14, an ordinance establishing a fee for obtaining Springfield Police Department traffic accident reports online through Carfax. Whereas the Springfield Police Department has recommended that the City of Springfield and Carfax enter into an agreement to share traffic accident information and data for investigative purposes. And whereas the Springfield Police Department has further recommended that Springfield Police Department traffic accident reports be made available to the public online through the Carfax website. And whereas Carfax currently charges a $5.50 fee for traffic accident report and will allow the City of Springfield to also charge a fee for such service. And whereas Article 4, Section 13 of the Charter of the City of Springfield requires that the fixing of fees and charges be accomplished through legislative action, which must be exercised by ordinance. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, the City of Springfield shall charge a fee of $4 for each Springfield Police Department traffic accident report that is accessed and downloaded from the Carfax website. Section 2, such fee shall be in addition to the fee charged by Carfax for this service. Section 3, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Okay, did you have a motion yet on that?
No,
I
sir.
don't believe so. Is there a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Danny, discussion. You had the explanation of that at our last meeting by Chief Thompson. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
Okay. 2.4 is a resolution, 12-28. This authorizes the distribution of longevity pay to all full-time employees of the city of Springfield. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
A second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Nutting, do you want to explain what that is actually?
Well, Mayor, as you know, every year, the board in its budget allocates money for longevity pay for employees as a benefit, and it's usually given at the end of November. So there have been no changes in the amounts that are allocated based on years of service from last year's resolution.
Okay. Questions or comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Due to the fact that Black Friday is this Friday, and some of our employees are pressed for cash, the family dealings, I wish if possible they could probably get paid before Friday so they can have this money for Black Friday.
Don't believe that's going to be possible.
Not possible.
We can't possibly do it tomorrow? There's no-
Tomorrow's payday, regular payday.
But there's no way.
No.
Pass the cutoff.
All right, you have the proposal. Any further comment before we vote?
Just one, you know, we couldn't argue this in October, right?
Well, it was
It had to wait until this month.
It's brought before you as it normally
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
so we don't, that's the way it's usually.
Yeah, the intention is that they'll have money for Christmas, but it's allocated the same every year. We have the payroll, the final payroll of the month, and then this has to be issued by check.
Well,
So
this
it's not
is
issued electronically.
my empathetic heart, which, you know, Black Friday is really the key day in most shops, so I was,
Well,
I'm
they
just
know,
concerned, I know. I'm
they
just
know they're
concerned
getting
about
it, so.
I'm just concerned about it, okay?
It is forthcoming if we pass it.
Okay.
Any further comment before we vote? Please call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 5-0.
All right, 2.5 covers Resolution 12-29. This resolution declares certain property as surplus and authorizes the disposal of same. Is there a motion?
So move.
Okay.
And
Second. Okay, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
Okay. Resolution 12-30 authorizes the city attorney to collect a surety bond in the amount of $95,760 for Rob Mott subdivision for developer Bill Wyatt, unless a replacement bond in the amount of $95,760 is presented within 24 hours of the expiration date of December 6, 2012. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
May I call Mr. James?
Yes, you may.
Did we review, you have any explanation of?
Do you mean did the planning commission review it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
No, they haven't yet because they didn't meet last month.
Okay.
This is a recommendation from staff, and we plan to discuss it with them the 6th when they meet. I don't think there's going to be any problem on it or anything. This is a renewal of a bond that's been in place for 1 year. I talked to the gentleman yesterday, and he's working on getting it. And this is just a safeguard in case something happens and he doesn't get us a bond.
Okay, that's what I remember about a year ago when this came up.
Yeah, well, this is that commercial subdivision.
Okay.
Out there across from the hospital. And He's had one or two bites, but he hadn't got anybody to go in there yet. So he's finished most of his work. It's just the final paving and a few things left, but he still hasn't finished. The reason we posted the bond last year was so he could sell some lots.
Okay.
We had to have a bond posted before he could record his plat. So he's been able to sell lots, but he hadn't been able to sell one so far. But he's had 2 or 3 good prospects, and I feel like that, you know, he will sell some in the near future. But I think we should extend his bond 1 year to give him opportunity to get somebody in there, and he'll finish the work.
Okay, thank you for your clarity, Mr. James. That's
All right, any further discussion before we vote? Please call the roll.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 5-0.
Okay, we move now to the administrative portion of the agenda. And the first item there is 3.1, is the monthly adjustment of retail electric rates by Springfield Electric due to a wholesale fuel cost adjustment by TVA. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And Mr. Gardner, which direction is it going in this time?
Increase 2.8%.
2.8%. Okay. That's TVA's Christmas present to us. Okay. Remind those present and those who may be listening of the percentage of each dollar collected by Springfield Electric that goes to TVA.
88 cents out of every dollar goes back to TVA for power costs.
Okay. 88 cents out of each dollar that you pay in your electric bill goes back to TVA. All right, further discussion. Mr. Mason has arrived, so we now have 6. Willie, we're voting on the monthly adjustment of electric rates. It's going up 2.8%. We have a motion and a second. All right, item 3.1. Everybody ready?
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
Now, 3.2 is the monthly adjustment of gas rates by Springfield Gas. George?
Going down 0.998%.
All right, going down about 1%, okay? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion of that?
Yeah, George's been talking to his Texas gas people, so you appreciate that, George.
Robert, you're gonna have to start lobbying like George is doing.
Robert's not going the right direction.
All right, anything further before we vote? Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 6-0.
Okay, 3.3 is to discuss and possibly take action on the proposal for design services from Hastings Architectural Associates, LLC, for the renovation of the old Precision Products Building, 724 Central Avenue, which is going to be used for water and wastewater, headquarters and shop. Is there a motion that this be discussed?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Who's going to make the presentation, Mr.?
Well, Mayor, this is similar to the proposal you saw earlier in the year. It's a little under $200,000 and then some additional minor consulting with this project. As you know, this project will be funded with the upcoming bond issue in January. So if you don't support this project as part of that bond issue, you probably don't need to vote for this, but I would encourage you to vote for it. We've had the building, we purchased the building, it's been sitting empty for a good year, maybe 2 years since we've owned it, a long time, at least a year,
We purchased that for, was it $150,000?
$150,000.
All right, any discussion?
This
Bruce?
building about 30,000 square feet. Is that right?
That's right.
And we're leaving the facility that's how big?
About 10,000.
about 10,000, much larger. Any idea about the property we're in, what it can be utilized for? Will it be sold? What's it worth?
Well, I don't think we know. It's not in the greatest condition. I'm sure it could be used as commercial property. I don't know exactly what the zoning is on Central Avenue at that location, but certainly a business similar to ours would be appropriate use of that facility.
Good question, Bruce. Is there anything further?
Not this one.
Okay. Anything else before we vote? You favor this proposal, vote aye. Opposed, no.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
No.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 5 to 1.
Okay. 3.4 is to discuss and possibly take action on appointing or reappointing members to serve on the Planning Commission. What names are presented?
Mayor, Ms. Burkeen has agreed to
Okay.
intend to serve for another 4 years.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, if Mr. George would tolerate me, I'll volunteer again.
All right, Mr. Hubbard, you're willing to serve. Ms.
If no other
Burkeen,
board member wants
If
to
no
serve.
other board member wants. Isn't that where we elect a board member, though?
Well, yeah, well, the problem is, I think this person is supposed to be aligned with Mr. Sneed's term of office. So I think anything that pertains to Ward 6, seeing that we're going to have a new alderman from Ward
So we'll
6, that
defer it
probably
until-
Okay, we better
Mr.
hold
Sneed
that.
should be allowed to either ask those people to serve again or to make another appointment as soon as the new term of office starts. We did it before the end of the term because that gives us people in position by the time the new year comes around, the new terms of office come around.
Mr. Mayor, would deferral be appropriate?
Okay. All right. Mr. Andy Yant is the name submitted for Ward 4. Is he currently a member?
He is, and he's agreed to serve.
Okay. David Allen from Ward 5, is he
Yes.
willing again? You mentioned Ms. Burkeen, which we're going to hold off on. I have not had a chance to talk to the two that I appoint, and I'll have those for you at the next meeting. So at this point, we're ready to proceed with Mr. Yant and David Allen. Is that right? Okay. That's what you're voting on at this point, is if there is a motion and to that.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
You favored these appointments, vote aye. If you opposed, no.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6 to 0.
All right, anybody, in the 3.5, do we have anybody now for the Adult Entertainment Board?
I'm still working on Ward 4.
Okay. Are there any names to submit tonight for those? Okay, here we go.
Mr. Bale will continue on his. Was that large?
Okay.
Yeah, my recommendation.
Greg Bell is at large.
Mhm.
All right, Ward 5 is Dr. Onstott.
I'm sure he'll continue, but I haven't spoken with him
You want to hold till you talk to him then?
yet. I'm 99% sure he's.
Well, we'll go on and do it if you want to do it then. All right.
He's pretty adamant
Dr.
against it.
Tom Onstott for Ward 5. Ms. Snyder, Betty Moore is Ward 6. And do we hold on that one until, okay. Okay, we'll hold on that one. Okay. So the names that we're voting on at this point is Tom Onstott and then Greg Bell at large. Okay. You would favor those two? Is there
No, we do not have a motion.
need a motion?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
We've got a second.
All right. You would favor these two appointments? Vote aye, opposed, no.
Mason.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
All right, 3.6 is to discuss and possibly appoint a member to serve on the Springfield Industrial Development Board and also the Health and Educational Facilities Board, which is essentially one and the same. And that's my appointment, and I'm recommending Bruce Gregory for the at-large position, replacing Mr. Jason Reynolds for his unexpired term, which ends September 30th of 2015. I submit that as a motion.
Move for approval.
Oh, we need a second.
Second.
He's moving second to go and get it done. All right, in favor of this, vote aye, opposed, vote no.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Okay. 3.7 is to discuss and possibly take action, mainly it's a discussion thing, on the status and performance of the Springfield Public Schools. This has to do a lot with the State of the Schools report, which was presented by the school board last Thursday evening at Springfield High's auditorium. It was an excellent presentation, fairly well attended. Mr. Nutting, do you want to give a summary of that? And I know Mr. Hubbard was there, and I was as well.
Well, I'll give you my viewpoints on it. Be happy to share that. First of all, I thought it was an excellent exercise. I hope they continue doing it. And any positive movement anywhere, at any school, at any time, and movement in the upward direction is good. And so I would encourage the school board and the school district with their efforts and improvement. I thought it was very informative. But as you know, our primary concern is with the Springfield schools. And I still, I'm sorry, I still think that they have created an unbalanced situation with regard to our schools. And they helped create that situation. I think it started politically with representation of on people on the school board, and it's kind of been broken down now into 6 mini school districts, of which we have a quarter of the population, we pay a quarter of the taxes, and look at the difference in the performance between the schools. Now, some of this, in my opinion, can still be readdressed with some rezoning. It's interesting that we still put portable schools in Springfield while there's space available at other schools, which I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. And I look at some of these scores, and I know they're 3-year averages, but everyone's taking the same scores, and the rest of the district is averaging BBBB in the elementary school and middle school levels. And the best we can do is a few C's, a bunch of D's, and actually a couple of F's. That's incredible. And I'm sorry, I believe the school board has helped create this situation by some of the zoning. Now, I was encouraged by the fact that, and I think this is a good common sense move, because looking at zoning is a little bit of the problem. It's not going to solve the whole problem, but I was very encouraged that they stated that they were cutting down on recess and giving the kids more opportunity, more time in reading and science, which I think is an exceptionally good move. And when you're this far behind, you need to catch up. But if a kid gets 1 or 2 years behind in school, it's awfully difficult to catch up. And you have to ask yourself what a 3rd grader in 2009, or even going back to 2007, who has moved through the school district, Springfield schools, in D and F schools, what sort of future that child is going to have. I'll tell you what, he didn't get an equal opportunity with everybody else. And you should be mad as heck about it, because I am. You know, you go back here and you look at, these are 3-year averages. Look at Springfield Middle School. The score, the actual score, and it's a 3-year average score, so it includes the beginning in 2009, I believe that's 2007 and 2008, but the math score was 43, which was a D. Now, in 2012, it was 42 in 2010, 41 in 2011, and 42 in 2012. It's actually less, the average is less than it was the average 4 years ago. And the scores, the actual numerical scores, are going down, even though the grade stays the same. Look at reading and language. The average score in 2009, 3-year average, is 41. 4 years later, it's 37. If it's lower than the year before, that means they had scores this year that were lower than the year before to bring the average down. Social studies, some improvement, that's good news. It was 41 and the 3-year average in 2009, and now it's 45, which is a C, which is definite progress. It's not much out of the D category, but it's out of the D category. Look at science. 39, 3-year average in 2009. It was 38, 3-year average in 2010, 36 in 2011, and it's 37 in 2012. Let me tell you, things aren't getting better in the Springfield cluster of schools. They're getting better everywhere else, but they're not getting better in our cluster. They're getting worse. And that's all I have to say about it.
There's no doubt where you stand. Mr. Hubbard?
I'm gonna try to be polite. I think it was about 5 years ago, Leah, when we sort of raised the red flags.
I'd say that's about right.
And it appeared that it was a deaf ear that intercepted our pleas. Last Thursday, I don't want a category as a good charade to say, and I don't want to sound redundant, oh, we're so glad of the Robeson County schools. But Springfield schools are struggling. Well, it hit me in the craw, you know? Because we have told the school board, we have told the superintendents of schools, understand, that this marginal, nonchalant approach to educating our kids is just not going to work. So he did incorporate some new programs this year. Too little, too late. Everything that I privately told him, everything I publicly said, yes, he's putting it in place, but 2 years too late. As Mr. Nutting was alluding to, you know, Johnny still can't read. Susan still can't do the core courses. And then when I looked at the graph, they put the graphs up there of the particular struggling kids in the Springfield school system. There was Hispanics and African American students. Well, I was talking to Hispanic students. You know, there's such things as recruiting qualified teachers to do extra work who are bilingual from your Arizonas and your Texas, your New Mexico would come here to trying to beef it up. There are such things as reaching out into the community to make sure the parents can understand that their kids need to be more formable in English in order to grasp the educational system. And then when I look at the African American, setting, it was down. It went down, what, about a point or two this year as compared to last year. And I just said, this is just not, it's just not going to cut it. So my recommendations are to continue to let the school board and the superintendent know that the charade is over with. We're not going to buy it. And I got to say this. I cannot see how the solid upper class, solid middle class of Springfield can sit back and see that people in the disadvantaged, low social economic classes is crippling the growth of your city, who can sit back and not get mad. You know, of course, you went to school with these people on the Board of Education, you went to school with this person that's a superintendent of school, but he's ravishing your community. And how can I can understand why the citizens go by like, well, it's okay. Well, I understand. Most are upper class, I see the Davis Academies and I see the John Pauls, their kids are going there. But the majority of your students in Springfield cluster is from at 65% almost paycheck to paycheck, 30, probably lower income. Now, we have to, we have to say enough's enough. You probably say, why are you going so ballistic? Well, from the Hubbard stall, grandkids and kids included, we had no problem. I mean, my daughters are college educated, they blew it out. My grandkids are honor students, they're blowing it out, okay? But for those kids that come from parents who are not high school graduates, those kids that come from parents who have the English language problems, those kids who come from parents who may be, kids themselves may be crack-affected kids, understand? We have to deal with that. So what I'm going to say, keep the pressure on the Board of Education, but the leadership of Springfield, we need to put pressure on the community. In some kind of way, Mr. Mayor, we need some kind of citizens type of program or some type of citizen type of effort to where they can get mad enough, understand me, they get mad enough to say, we're not going to have this. Because if we don't, we're still going to attract all of the Section 8ers and other riffraffs that want to come to Springfield because it seemed very conducive to come here and sit down and just be a drag. You see, and we don't want that. We're not going to get those solid 50,000 plus educated families to bring their kids into our school system. And we can do better. I'm tired of Springfield schools struggling. See, and we got to get mad about it. No, I'm not just going off, because it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see that the kids can't be afforded what my kids and my grandkids going to be afforded. It breaks my heart, and I take it personal, you see. And I've been screaming hard enough my blood pressure is raising there, you see. But enough's enough. Now, my challenge to the city leaders, okay, you get mad, not here, but some of the city leaders who get mad at my big mouth, step up to the plate. You made a great living off of Springfield, so step up to the plate and help to make our education system second to none. And I'm going to stop at that.
Ann, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Yes, sir. Being on the ground and going into Brantsford, these children we go over every week and we're reading. They're eager to learn. We have some wonderful teachers in that building and in all the buildings here in Springfield. I think we need to make sure that we push to have some new programs that we've never seen in Robertson County to help the teachers and the children. I grew up poor. Education is definitely the way to change your life. And I think we have to continue to force them to spend money and try new, innovative things that's never been done in Robertson County. And I think we have a lot of people that are willing to step up to the plate.
Willie, do you want to add?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say, but since I'm a part of this 40 organization for the last few years, well, quite a few years, but I agree something needs to be done. I've been seeing this for years. I carry those students we're talking about school every day. And other cities get seemingly what they want, but Springfield cannot get anything. I've been seeing this for years. It's true. And something needs to be done. I don't know if it's the board, the citizen, the city or whatever can do anything about it, but we need to try to entice someone to do better.
Shane?
I agree, bro.
Well, I mean, Mr. Hubbard is right on. Unless the general citizenry of Springfield steps up and demands better, we will continue to get what we've always gotten. As Ann stated, we have some wonderful folks teaching in our schools. Our girls have come through Springfield schools and have had every opportunity and beyond what many of our schools in the outlying areas of the county have. But they've also had encouragement at home that a lot of these children simply don't have, Mr. Hubbard. So until the community decides that education is important enough for us to roll up our sleeves, go over to Bransford, go over to the community center, help tutor these kids, and not just be content with saying, well, mine are surviving okay. It will not change. And as already been proven, pressure from this board to the school board means little or nothing, because we have no legal recourse to force them to do much of anything on our own. So I would just echo what we have been talking about, and knowing that if the community isn't willing to step up and be the family for some of these kids, the school board can't fix it.
Bruce? As I said earlier, I attended the meeting at Springfield High last Thursday night, and I did think the presentation was good, and I think there was a lot of information presented, some of which was encouraging, but we're still, as has been outlined by others, we're still facing the same situation here within the city schools. And there are several factors that come to play with that, but it's primarily what's the difference? Why does Springfield struggle and the other schools not as much so? Well, it's because of the makeup, and it is the fact that you have a much higher percentage of disadvantaged children. It doesn't matter what race they are, it matters that they are disadvantaged, regardless of race. And most all research agrees on that the higher that percentage of disadvantage, the more difficult it is for those children to succeed in school and then in turn later in life. And you reap a whole lot of problems from that disadvantaged situation in terms of your court system and all of that. Now, the thing that is frustrating to me is that as we've had this dialogue with the school board for some time now and had a formal meeting with them some year and a half ago, we still have made not a lot of progress specifically in Springfield. They have purchased land to help, which would be used hopefully very soon for a new elementary school, which would relieve our overcrowding and enable us to get rid of some of the 30 portables that are in the city of Springfield, which is terrible that much portable space is having to be used in the city. And when you look at what has been spent in Robertson County on new buildings from 2004 to 2011, you know that's something in excess of, it's either 80-something or 90-something million dollars have been spent on schools around this county, including a $43 million high school at White House Heritage. All of this took place years after the Springfield Elementary School, the South Springfield Elementary School, was originally proposed. That was proposed back in 1998. So we've been on the back burner simmering for an awful long time. Now, the thought that I had after seeing the scores released in the Tennessean a couple of weeks ago, was first to look at other similarly situated cities in Middle Tennessee. I looked to see what Lebanon did, what Murfreesboro was doing, and score-wise, what Franklin was doing. You could pick those out because those three have city elementary schools. Then they go to the county system after their elementary school experience. So you could pick those scores out readily. And the scores that I looked at were generally in the B category as opposed to our average of really D in elementary school. Now, I don't see why that the school board cannot direct the staff to visit with those school systems to learn what they're doing. They have the same demographics that Springfield has. We're not unique in that regard. We're fairly high with that percentage of disadvantaged kids, which is measured by the number of free and reduced price lunches. That's the universal standard, it seems to be. But we have a makeup of 65% white population in this city, 25% African American, and 10% other, which is predominantly Hispanic. So that's the makeup. It's not unusual. You could go to a lot of other cities in Tennessee and find the same thing. But most of them seem to be doing better academically than we are. Now, after saying all that, I'm speaking from someone whose all three children graduated from Springfield High. I have grandchildren. We have grandchildren in the city schools now, one at Springfield High, one at Westside. We've got others coming on. And both my wife and I have been teachers in the school system. Both of us have been on the faculty at Springfield High School. And I know that we have some of the strongest academic leaders as principals in this city now that I have ever seen. Dr. Grimes at the high school. If you talk about somebody that's a cheerleader for what's right, it's Justin Grimes. And he'll make a racket out there. He already has, as evidenced by some other people being in the room here tonight to boost some of his projects. Dr. Grant Bell is at Springfield Middle and doing a wonderful job trying to lift that school. And he is having people come in, the public to come in and meet and see kids, greet them in the morning when they come in, attend the assembly, that they have in the morning, those kind of things. So I see a lot of positive things. But I'm saying that the board is going to have to get in gear and to see that more resources are needed. We still have a zoning system. If you see zoning, everybody goes bananas, and but you got to look around you. Every time, look at what Rutherford County does, Montgomery County does, Sumner County does. They change zone lines all the time, and we act like they're sacred, that we can't adjust them as the population moves. When you've got a Greenbrier zone coming into Springfield along 41, and some of you middle class going up there, and then you're told, oh, well, you only have all the poor people in Springfield, that's your fault. Well, that's not exactly how it works. People live where they live, and we've done a good job in the last several years. We've tried to clean this city up. There have been over 500 substandard buildings torn down in this city since Paul Nutting has been here. And we've torn down how many this year?
50.
50 just this year alone, and the year is not over. We are cleaning up neighborhoods. We put pressure on landlords who are not maintaining properties. There have been a whole lot of things done to lift the standards. And when I see these kids from Springfield High School, and I know that last year they had $4.7 million worth of scholarships to that senior class, and that was equal to the total of all the other high schools in the county. And it's equal to what Franklin Road Academy had about 2 or 3 years ago. I know there's substance. I know there is excellence in these schools. But what's pulling it down is the fact that with a large number of disadvantaged kids, those scores pull down the total average. It's not to say that many of these kids aren't getting the very best education, but there's some struggling, many struggling, because of where they started from. And that's the whole thing. it's simple to explain. It is harder to do something about. And it takes smaller class sizes, it takes extra tutoring, it takes after-school things like we've given $20,000 to now for the Y for the rest of this year to try to meet the needs of Springfield Middle School students for after-school tutoring. The community has to work together. Doesn't matter how much money we give to the Chamber of Commerce and to the County Industrial Board and to others to try to attract business to this county. When they open their newspaper and they see Springfield schools still struggling, it wipes out so much of the other that you do. And we have to keep this as a priority, or this city will always be less than it could be. And that's all I guess we need to say. I don't know of any other action that we can take. I know the business with the feds has been often referred to. I have been told it's still very much in the works, and if anything, being expanded before they come to town. So whenever that's done, that'll deal. We have not been a party of that as a city body, and but we are pleading for support, both within the city to. I can tell you this, I worked at the school system in the central office for 16 years. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the one that's going to get tended to, and we don't make enough noise. And that kind of sums it up. There's not anything formally that I know otherwise that we can do.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
We can't appeal enough just to have citizens, as he said. We have to have a conversation.
We had that conversation.
The Springfield citizens, okay? You know, we need to talk among ourselves. Some kind of way we talk among ourselves, okay? And then get the strategies that we use among ourselves.
I agree.
And then move forward.
Well,
that's what really bothers me right now, because the ball is in our, we have too many professional folk here, we have too many,
some of those folk are getting involved in doing these visits to Springfield Middle School. Dr. Grimes has had some at the high school. I think the more of that type of activity, the more we will have people buying into this and moving forward. So unless there's some objection, we'll move on to the next item, because I don't know of a proper action that we can actually take tonight. 3.8 is to discuss and possibly take action on the renewal of our health insurance contract for another year. Assistant City Manager Gina Holt.
Okay, I put in your memo a lot of numbers and statistics like I always like to do, but the bottom line is we're very, very close. I don't have the final rates to give you tonight, or I would have included it in the packet. But I'm about 90% sure that we have the rates that we're going to end up with, and we will be renewing with Blue Cross and Blue Shield with exactly the same plan we have now. The only change in order to meet our budget is currently we have the $3,500 deductible or 7,000 family. We will be going to a $4,000 deductible or $8,000 family. And the difference is that the city will be picking up the additional $500 on the top part. The employees will still pay $1,500 and $3,000 if they have to, and the city will pick up the difference through the HRA. And so it's the same plan, same co-pays, same prescription, everything else is identical. This is the only thing, and we had to do this in order to make it meet our budget, because we started out at a higher percentage increase. I think we started out about 14 or 15% increase in premiums, and then we got it down to an 11%, 11 to 12% to renew exactly as we have it now. And then the way we changed it with the deductible, we're down to about a 9% increase in premiums, but we still, it will fit the budget. I'm pretty confident.
Okay, well, that's the best news we've had in some time.
Yes,
however, we are now actually spending less for health insurance than we did.
We're still spending less than we were in the last 3 fiscal years.
That's what I thought.
well, it's a slight increase from last year, but the 3 previous ones were still spending less dollars.
And this
And we
is-
have been in 3 years prior to that.
Okay, that's encouraging. So what are we being asked to, is
Really, just, I guess, approve the renewal.
okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, this has been outlined. Any questions of Ms. Holt before we vote?
Any comments?
I'm very pleased with this.
I still appeal to the employees that next door would eliminate a whole lot of usage of insurance. So I still feel wellness should come first.
By that, you're meaning use of the center and.
Use of the center. And I am leading the charge Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I would suggest that, you know, I mean, really and truly, not have to go out on this limb to say this, you know. If we use a wellness approach, use a good dietary approach, we can really cut down on medical insurance. I know within myself, okay?
You sound like a representative of Blue Cross.
Clean it up.
All right, is there a second?
Yes.
On this, all right. Any other discussion before we vote? Please call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 6-0.
Okay, 3.9 is to discuss and possibly take action on the issuance of general obligation bonds and projects to be funded with those bond proceeds. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Paul, do you want to speak to that before we?
Thank you, Mayor. As you see from the exhibit, we've got some more information for you with regard to possible projects. The 2 definite projects that we have, and we're looking at around $10 million for the bond issue in January. We've got $6 million for the sanitary sewer rehabilitation, and we also have $2.6 million for the new water wastewater department facility for $8.6 million. So we have several other projects, and we really probably don't have to make a final decision, but we're going to have to make a final decision before January on what projects we're going to fund. You have the list there. Animal control facility, $400,000. Center roof and HVAC units, $416,000. We did get an estimate on an elevator, which will have to build a shaft inside the existing building. Estimated cost is about $101,000.
This is at the center.
At the center. Also, Travis Price Park, trails and sidewalks, that's a prior number. We did have one of our landscape architects look at the park, and he believes if we just wanted to construct trails without paved ways, that we could do that simply by clearing and establishing trails. But I don't know how ADA accessible they would be. I do know if you pave something that it's going to be ADA accessible. The board did ask us to take a look at just constructing a sidewalk from the baseball field to the soccer field at Travis Price Park, and the estimate for that is $25,000. We also suggested that if you're looking at just something as a catch-all project, we could always build sidewalks. We've got plenty of sidewalks that still need to be repaired. We've got $250,000 in there. And then with the annexation down 41 South, we still have one phase of the Highway 41 sewer system extension that has to be extended, and that is for $1.3 million.
Okay, now is any refunding in this too now?
No, these are all for new projects. We've refunded all our bonds at this point with the December sale.
Okay, is that concluding? I know we've taken our action on that, but have those bonds been taken care of yet, or is that happening in December?
The refunding bonds, and I'll give you a report under city manager's report, but all that's going to take place, the sale will take place in the first week in December, and we'll close on those about a week before Christmas. And that'll be taken care of. That's the refunding of existing debt, and then a $1 million stormwater improvement project.
That's what I wanted to be sure. That's different from what we're talking about right now. All right. Motion and second. Any discussion on these before you vote?
My pet peeve for a long time has been trails in the park. Beautiful park. Nice areas to explore, and I explored them, I guess, about 8 years ago with my kids. And I already brought them Mr. Phelps, you know, those patches of woods out there and all around with that airplane thing. Those are excellent places to walk and sort of get a refresh mental deal with.
All right.
glad to
Any
see
other
that.
comment before we vote?
These specific projects will come back to us with bids. Is that right?
If you can decide tonight by any chance, and you know, there's certainly not a deadline to make a final decision, but if we can get a good indication about how close we're going to get to a final decision, that would be good. So what we're looking for the board as far as direction is to pick projects to be included in that final bond issue, and that list is under other projects, and you may have some other projects you might want to add in there, but that's the menu right now.
And of course, most of that is, again, what's required by EPA, what we're being forced to do, and so many other cities likewise, to comply with the EPA regulations. And we are replacing sewer lines that are, how old are some of the oldest ones, Roger, that we're working on?
Probably 80, 90 years old.
So that's pretty old infrastructure. All right, under the other projects, does that cover most of the items that we have discussed from time to time in recent months? Is there anything anybody wants to add to that? I'd suggest, Paul, that after they've had the time to look at that we come back in December, then we can, I mean, unless you want to nail it down tonight.
I think December would be fine. I think that would give us time to, you know, they've got a ballpark figure to work with, and they could prepare any preliminary official statements on a good ballpark number, and then before the sale in January, we'll have a solid number that you'll pick in December, and we'll go on with the sale from there.
So we are approving formally the issuance of bonds. Is that what we're doing?
Well, actually, the only thing I wanted you to do tonight was see if there are any projects that you were definitely, as a body, were settling on that we needed to do off this menu of options.
Is there anything anybody wants to settle on tonight? Otherwise, you don't actually need any action then.
Unless the board wants to take some.
Bruce, do you have any thoughts there? Okay. Well, let's come back in December and be ready to close this out then. All right, so there's no action needed with that, so those motions the motion, the second can be withdrawn if that's the case with those.
That'll be fine, that'll be fine.
All right, we'll move on now to 3.10. This is to discuss and possibly take action on a proposed lease agreement for the warehouse building at 200 9th Avenue East, which we now own, next to the police station, this was property that we acquired from, was it Halen Cotton?
It was.
Is there okay, is there a motion?
So moved, put it on board.
Second?
Second.
All right, you see the proposed lease? Any questions?
So, elaborate on this interesting party that's interested in, what's their forte?
On this interesting party.
Yes.
He has a business currently in Indianapolis that is an architectural, well, they do antiques, but they also salvage architectural detail in buildings that are torn down. And so it's primarily internet sales, but they do have some walk-ins, but it's primarily to be used for storing a lot of the materials that they have from buildings and houses. And they were thrilled with it. That's what they're looking for. And they hope to buy a building eventually. Probably the lease is for 3 years, and then they can, he has an option to rent it for another 1 year at a time. But he hopes to have a building purchased in town. And they like the character, they like the old, of course it fits perfectly with the business, having an old brick warehouse like that. He also, I don't know if I should say that, but he has a potential TV show that he's going to be doing on different types of things with all the materials that they have and the things that you can do and ideas. It sounds like a lot of the shows that are on, like Pickers and American Pickers and things like that. So I don't know if that's finalized yet, but that's primarily what they do. And, you know, the building is sitting there empty. They will maintain it. We don't have to worry about it. And we're looking at a, you know, pretty decent rent, not to have to do anything to it.
Okay.
And if something were to happen to the building and it was destroyed, we wouldn't repair it anyway, because eventually we're going to demolish it. So it's a pretty good thing, I think.
A little positive recognition too.
Yes. And he lives in Old Hickory now. He's from Indiana, but he really likes Springfield.
Okay. Thank you. Other comments, questions? You favor this lease as outlined, please vote aye. You oppose, vote no.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
Okay, 311 is to discuss and possibly take action on the construction of a portion of the Greenway project using the funds that have already been awarded to the city but not yet appropriated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. You can see that Alan has written a letter to Mr. Paul Deggs, the TDOT Deputy Commissioner and Chief Engineer, requesting the reallocation of funds already awarded to the city of Springfield, trying to combine them into one project. And as you know, we've purchased right-of-way for the Greenway all the way to Bransford Community Center. And at some point, the state is going to require us to complete this project, or we're going to have to give money back. So one of the hurdles that we have to get through is the railroad crossing. And we all know that it's a ridiculous amount of money to accomplish this, but federal regulations and railroad regulations require that it be done. And so I think Alan has put together a pretty good project to extend the Greenway from where it ends currently at 9th Avenue to go ahead and get a trailhead established at the other side of the railroad track. And I think we've had discussions with Dean Oil Company about possible parking lot. You know, you've got the Depot Restaurant as an attraction there, and we can take it as far as we can take it. It would be great if we could at least get to Central Avenue, and then at some point reapply for a new Greenway grant to at least take it all the way down to to Bransford, where we already have the right-of-way acquired. So what we're thinking tonight is if the state will cooperate with us, TDOT will give us approval, we want your permission to pursue this portion of the Greenway.
Okay, that crossing has some issues that need to be addressed in, but there's a lot of congestion there with parking very close to the track and all. It needs to be looked at, that we need to take up sometime soon. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That this would enhance a connection of mainstream in that part of town, so that's very positive.
No further comments, we'll call the roll.
Mason.
Aye.
Shoemaker. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
All right, 3.12 would be discussion and possible action on authorizing Gresham Smith and Partners to proceed with the work plan task orders 1 and 2 and the associated costs with that, which focus on complying with the submittals to the EPA and to begin the data acquisition process that will lead to initiating construction on the rehabilitation of our wastewater collection sub-basins. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
This is a pretty high priority item. Do you have any questions about this? This is what is required to get this process rolling so that we can meet the deadline that is imposed on us. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
All right, 3.13 is to discuss and possibly take action on a request from the Springfield High School Athletic Association for monetary support of the maintenance and development of athletic facilities at Springfield High School. That we've had a memo on that, and Gene is here. Gene Beck, are you going to speak to this? We welcome you to our meeting.
Thank you for the opportunity to come, and we appreciate this, and understanding that y'all are looking for projects to spend money on. I got you a deal. For those
Excellent
of you,
timing, huh?
pardon?
Excellent timing, right?
Excellent timing, just like playing basketball there. For those of you that do not know, I'm Gene Beck. I'm representing a newly formed group called the Springfield High School Athletic Association. We are working in direct collaboration with Springfield High School's administration, their coaching staff. Mr. Hubbard, all I can tell you is we got some reinforcements that we'll be glad to bring to the cause. We're going to talk to you folks on the board about helping, and our interest is initially athletics, but our interest is in a bigger picture, Springfield High School. We do have an unbelievable window of opportunity now. Y'all mentioned about the excitement with leadership and administration with Dr. Bell and Dr. Grimes. We've got, I think, interest out there to address the educational issues, and this group that I represent, we speak of athletics and athletic facilities, but we speak of them only as part of the total educational program. We do think that pride, we do think that unification of our efforts can be solidified with athletic improvement also. The newly established Springfield Athletic Association has been labeled, so we're not considered the old quarterback club, or we're not a booster group. We're trying to help the entire situation. The purpose of this group has been identified to help raise money to maintain and develop athletic facilities at Springfield High School. There is an 11-person board of directors or athletic committee or executive committee, ever how you want to refer to it at this point, that was appointed by Dr. Grimes. So we're in direct cooperation with the administration at Springfield High School. Dr. Grimes appointed the committee. He's present with us, as well as members of our athletic committee or our board of directors tonight to show support. But we're here to ask for your leadership in donating some money to us on the front end of our capital campaign. We have been approved by the Robertson County Community Foundation, and they have established acceptance of the Springfield High School Athletic Association Facilities Fund. So what that's basically meaning, that's going to allow us to solicit donations from those that are interested in supporting this effort for charitable contributions, and the money will be run through the Robertson County Community Foundation rather than this athletic association. So we've got checks and balances there with the Community Foundation. We also have the checks and balances with administration at Springfield High School. But our goal basically is to develop the athletic facilities at the high school. I would like to show you our vision of our goal should we attract a lot of interest and attract a lot of money, and in the proper time, in the proper progression, develop these fields out at Springfield High School. You have a short copy, and I'm sorry, the audience right now, but I'm playing to these guys up here. I'll turn the board around to you in just a minute. But what we have here is what you've been given as our dream, our goal. This is a tentative preliminary because there are obviously some changes. But right now, what this group has fallen into, we've got an effort already started by our baseball and our softball programs at Springfield High School. There's a brand new coach in baseball and softball. Young coach is very energetic to go with young administration. But Justin Martin started the last couple of years an effort to raise money for a baseball field. This baseball field is what's shown here. It's just off to the west side, I guess, of the existing school. They'll be playing baseball there this year. Not by anything this group's done or any money that's raised, but by interested parents, interested grandparents, interested baseball people. They borrowed money and they're moving. Our hope is to help them continue their effort and eventually help pay off that $70,000 note. These two things, baseball and softball, are top priority. We were really pushing hard to get our softball complex ready to play this spring. But quite frankly, we haven't really announced our capital campaign, so money is a factor. Quite frankly, the weather hadn't cooperated. But we've got a base now. The administration at the high school has made the decision that we will play there in 2014, but not this spring. So we'll continue to bum off the city, and I think we're going to use Legion Field, aren't we, Coach Baggett, for this year. But our efforts have not diminished. We're going on with the project. We've just got a little breathing room there. So priority one, softball, baseball, and we've got a big volunteer effort that's going to go on in December. It's not going to cost a lot of money, but it's going to cost a little bit of labor and a little bit of volunteer business to repaint the gym. So those are priority one. In addition to that, the development of our overall plan. This plan is there because we've got that land there. And the only thing that's out there now for those of you that have been out, other than this baseball and the beginning of our softball, this is a practice football field right now. The planning committee is going to have to make major decisions for us. What can come next? What should be done next in progression where you don't have to mess up anything as you move on your overall project. But that is our dream. That is a rough ballpark of maybe 3.5 million, probably not counting total parking. That's kind of a mixed bag that's going to float out there depending on how much we can do and that sort of thing. But visually, that's what we think we can do out there. Now you've got to think about 32 years that school's been out there. Baseball's going to be the first real athletic competitive situation that we've had, 32 fields. So I believe probably in more ways than one, the Springfield schools have been forgotten a little bit. But if it wasn't for the city in all that time, we wouldn't have had anywhere to play anything. We use softball, we use soccer, so we're offering another option down the road, and we're very excited, and the board of directors on there is a wide variety of people that I think have interest in Springfield High School and willing to support. But obviously we're on a journey. But what we're here to ask you about tonight is, would you consider being probably our first corporate or governmental sponsor? Our first fundraiser is a 5-year pledge, and we're going to hit individuals, and we're going to hit businesses, we're going to hit the corporate world, we're going to seek grants, foundation, and government entities. And this has not been thrown out yet. There will be some mention of it tomorrow in the Times, but it's taken a while to get things in order and to organize basically the effort here. But the proposal was to ask you for a 5-year commitment of $25,000 to be the first in the leadership here, basically from the governmental side. But after you did make the statement, and I think we've got witnesses here, that you're looking for projects to include in the bond issue. Well, we've got $3.5 million worth of options for you, Mayor. I'd be glad to bring that before you at any point in time and pursue that. But that's general highlights. We've got board members that might could speak to some things for you. I'll offer any questions, but we're glad to be part of the Springfield community, and we think the athletic interests are part of the total education program, and we're pretty excited too, so we need to combine forces, and we welcome your support.
Gene, thank you. That's an excellent presentation, and certainly the history of the relationship between the city of Springfield and the Springfield High School athletics goes back a long, long time. And we've at one time owned the football field and maintained it, and you know all the rest of it, and we have been involved in it, and it's certainly something that we're going to want to take a look at as we prioritize. We've got plenty of things to spend these bond proceeds on. The matter is prioritizing, and I certainly, for one, favor participation in this. So I think we will certainly consider it very soon.
I want to be clear. I want a little bit right now, and then I need a whole lot a little later.
I got you.
Are there questions, Mayor?
That's what I was going to say. Any of you gentlemen and lady have any questions of Coach Beck?
I'm started out. I'm very much in support, even though I have a bone to pick with the county for not developing us a sports complex, which most schools in the county has one. So I'm much in support. The only reservation I have is was it 4 years ago? This multi-million-dollar best state-of-the-art track in the state of Tennessee. That's the only thing I really hate to really give up, that we kind of built for Springfield High School. Personally, I just hate to really give that up. But I'm in favor of them having everything out there. So if there is any kind of concessions that we could give from the city, I definitely would support it.
Any other questions tonight? Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
For you students who are here and wonder who Coach Gene Beck was,
The basketball guru.
he was the Springfield High School basketball coach from 1969 till 1986. Is that right, Coach? Okay. So he's had a history of involvement with Springfield athletics and a graduate of Springfield High as well.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
we also have one of the finest baseball players from Springfield High School, too.
Oh, we sure. We come back to the back row.
Definitely.
You swearing to Brother Jameson back there.
Brother Jameson, stand up.
Ted Jameson, you're a
That's
member
one
of
of the
this
best
group.
baseball players ever came out of this city, you all.
Ted, we're glad to have you with us and appreciate your involvement with this group. Looking forward to working with you. Okay? All right. Now, the consent agenda is before you now. It has 4 items. What's your pleasure?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
No discussion is called for on the consent agenda as such. Vote your preference.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 6-0.
All right, that concludes the agenda. We'll have the city manager's report. And I do want to say, as we close this meeting, that I want to thank Alderman Shane Shoemaker for his service during this 3 years and 5 months. He's definitely been an asset to us and a great guy to work with, and we will miss you and wish you the best.
Well, thank you. It's,
anything you want to say?
it has certainly been a pleasure to serve with this board and to serve the city. I have learned a lot. I think we've made a lot of very positive steps over these past 3.5 years. I think we've set some things in motion that fortunately can't be reversed. Some good and positive things. I would just encourage each of you to continue working in that spirit, working in a spirit of looking at what is best for Springfield as a whole. As we all try to, sometimes we have to set aside our personal preferences and agendas and wishes and wants to look at what's best for the community at large. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you for your camaraderie and your friendship, and look forward to keeping up with you for the next several years.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, may I say this to him?
Yes.
I recognize good leadership qualities in you.
Thanks, sir.
You're young, and I'm going to challenge you. Just go back to the drawing board. Springfield needs you, so don't close the door.
Well, thank you.
Paul?
Well, thank you, Mayor. The competitive sale date for the general obligation refunding and public improvement bond series 2012 will be Wednesday, December 5th at 9:30 a.m. Our financial advisors will be here to take all the bids. The pre-closing signing date will be Friday, December 14th at 10 a.m. and the closing will take place on Tuesday, December 18th by 11 a.m. The city will be notified next week by Moody's Investor Service about their determination of a bond rating for this issue. Also, the contractor for the 20-inch water transmission main project has crossed Batson Parkway, Batson Boulevard with the transmission line, and has crossed Highway 431 South with an 8-inch water main. The TDOT contractor is very close to completing the drainage repairs under Highway 431 South, which will allow the two ends of the water transmission main to be connected at that location. This should allow the water transmission main contract to be completed by the end of the year and have the water tank into full operation. Also wanted to let you know that since January 1, as we referred to earlier, a total of 50 unsafe structures have been removed, 36 by property owners, 12 by the Public Works Department, and 2 by city contractor. And also, speaking on behalf of myself and the staff, we want to say that we appreciate working with Alderman Shoemaker, and it has been very enjoyable. We wish you the best of luck and hope you'll stay involved with the city.
And the swearing in for those whose terms will begin again will be on December 1st at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m.
So, Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
We couldn't do without you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And I enjoy working with all of you and look forward to the next 4 years. If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving.
Roger.